In this video, I'm going to break down all of my trades from the past week. I have a summer sale running right now. You can get 30% off my lifetime Trading Academy access, and you can also get 30% off my lifetime Discord access. Now, the Academy includes my full 30-hour course and the Discord. The Discord only option is just the Discord alone. So if you want to learn my systems, trade with me, get personal support, backtest with me, get case studies on all the trades I've taken, and access to my live trades, head over to that link in the description and you can save 30% there. If you use the code SS30 at checkout, you are going to save around £150, which is around $200 on the Trading Academy, and you'll save £75 off the Discord, which is priced a little cheaper. So thanks for listening. I'll see you in the inside. Enjoy the video. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing well. Hope you've had a profitable week and I hope you're staying safe today on NFP day. In today's video, I wanted to break down all of the trades that I've taken this week. I've taken 3. One of them was a win. 2 of them were losses. Now, the losses were both down to mistakes that I'd made in my trading. And that is why I wanted to make this video today, because mistakes are always going to happen at some point or another. The best thing we can do is minimize mistakes and learn from them. So I wanted to show you my trades and break down the strengths of my winner and then the weaknesses that slipped in on the 2 losing positions. Now, in the end, I've ended the week profitable for 2.5R as I'm not trading today for the NFP, but it could have been a much more profitable week had I not made these 2 mistakes. So what I'm going to do is first of all start with the winner, which you can see on the chart there, and then I'm going to go and break down the 2 losses, show you what I could have done better to avoid those. So this here is the winning position, and what I'm going to do is break this down for you from start to finish. Now, if we quickly go back to around this point here, this is where I started to formulate the trade idea, and we'll clear all of the drawings off the chart. What we have is some pretty clean downside 1-minute structure. Now, this isn't obviously where the trade forms. All of my trades are going to form on a slightly higher time frame. So if we go over to the 15-minute time frame here, what we can see is that price had come into this kind of area of supply at the top, then started rolling over, broken structure, and opened this imbalance. Now, this trade would come under the bracket of my ALS system. This is a system that provides trades fairly often, but not every single day. You're going to get a few trades a week, sometimes only a few trades a month using this system, but it's very repeatable. It's the easiest system that I have to apply. If you're in the course, you'll know what it is. If not, it's in there. So this trade was kind of formulated around that idea, but also pairing some standard low time frame trading concepts into it. And basically what I was looking for was price to come down through this imbalance and trade towards this demand zone here, or towards these equal lows that we've got going on in the market. So essentially we're looking from sell from supply into demand, then get out the trade. Very simple stuff. Now over here on the 1-minute time frame, if we scale all the way back over, you'll see this retest wasn't exactly perfect. It came between 2 low time frame zones. So it came between this zone here and this zone here, and it didn't really retest either of these zones perfectly. But regardless of that, I thought, okay, paired with the other concepts and the ALS approach that I take to it, the market is probably going to roll down and give us a nice profitable trade, at least towards this point here. So if we then look at the structure on the 1-minute time frame, not only do we have this tap of kind of a imbalance area between supplies, we've had breaks of structure and clear lower lows and lower highs. Now, if we look at the sub-trend, we can clearly see we have a lower low here. We have another lower low here. And then continuing on to where we are now, we even have this small substructure one there, and then we've had another one just here. So that is the substructure move, and if we look at the larger swing move as well, we can see that we've actually broken this point into this imbalance price area. So the imbalance is going to be visible here, and the liquidity, which came in at these equal lows, is going to be set somewhere down here. So the idea of this trade was to just find a continuation move down from where we are towards this point here, then get out of the position, and that would be the trade for the day. So if we look at the current price then, we can see we did have efficient price action here to some degree. This little supply area was retested. Previously as well, this was efficient. And then this move here, we can actually see we do have this inefficiency on the 1-minute time frame. So what I was looking for was for the potential of the market to push up, trade into this point, and then roll over towards that target. Now you'll see when I go through the trade that this would have worked nicely, but I ended up getting out and then getting back in again, which in the end worked out for around the same profit, but I did that for clarity and for confidence. So this was a 5.46R movement, around 5.5R. My entry was off this imbalance supply. My stop loss was just above this previous one, just due to that little imbalance there. Now, some people are risk reward chasers and will go for a tight stop like this. If you're asking, why didn't I go with this stop loss? The reason for that is simply this small imbalance above. I prefer to be conservative. Anything over 3.5R is going to be good for me. If I can lock in consistent 5.5R winners or 5R winners, that's going to do me well because I'm going to take less losses than if I went tight like this. Now, this is fine for some people, but for me, and what I like to teach students as well, the mental pressure of hitting stops on trades like this, as opposed to the calmness of just getting in and winning the trade, pays dividends, right? I like to think of negative mental compounding. And basically, if you take, 1, 2, 3 losses in a row, that affects your ability to stay rational and see the market from a clear light. If you're taking these kind of smaller but still really good risk reward setups, you got to remember a few years ago people saw 1 to 2 as great risk reward. It's only this kind of wave of fake traders coming in and saying 50R a day is possible that's kind of twisted everyone's perception. And yes, sure, we can get these big trades every now and then, and sure, some people will have the mental nerve to actually go for trades like this every single time. But most of us like a bit of a sense of calm and, nice, calm, low pressure trading environment. So that is why I went with my stop up here for those asking, because I know there's going to be a few of you. And that was essentially the basis of the trade. Wait for this imbalance to be filled, price action to tap into this efficient area, and then when price sells off, we will profit on this move down. Now, if we let the market play out, you'll see it did tap in very nicely. But after tapping in, I ended up closing it for quite a small profit around this point here. And the reason I did that is because if we look at this trend, we have the low, we have this kind of higher high, higher low, higher high, and then this area here is kind of coming in as a higher low reacting from this demand. So what I wanted to see really for confidence in this trade was a break under these levels, because that would then reshift the trend down for me, reopen this imbalance, and then I'd be happy to get in. So I ended up closing this trade for around half an R, so half of my standard trade risk. So that was all right, and basically I wanted to get back in when we reconfirmed. Now, if we let the market play forward, you'll see we formed a higher low in the subtrend. Then we had this sell-off. Now, this sell-off is actually where I got into my trade. What we've seen now is a shift from this bullish move down into a bearish move once again. We can clearly box supply here, and my trade was a sell somewhere in here. My stop loss was just above this high, and my target was down into this point here for around 5R. So this was roughly the setup I took, and as you can see, we got tapped in, and the market did sell off very clean towards my target there. Now, I ended up getting out of this very slightly early. By the way, I also called this trade for my Discord community. Everyone should have got in that. A lot of people did. I ended up closing a little bit early around this area, simply because I was going to the gym. I think the trade just about tapped the take profit before reversing, but anyways, I was out slightly early, which locked me in around 4.5R profit on the total move, plus around 0.5R from that previous one. So at this point, I was running around 5R for the week, and that was good. This trade, I believe, was taken on Tuesday, so that was my first trade of this week. And that was the winning trade. Now, I don't really have any complaints about this. I'm happy with the setup, and it worked very nicely. Locking in 5R has covered me for the week, but it's the next two trades that I'm not so happy with, and these are what I wanted to talk about mostly in this video. So now you've got a glimpse into how I trade technically when I'm trading my A game. I'll show you the two mistakes that I've run into this week and kind of give you some tips on how you can avoid those. The second trade that I took, and the first losing trade of the week, was on Wednesday, and that was this position just here. So I had decided to sell into the market from this supply, hoping to take it down. Now, I totally viewed this market wrong, which is annoying because the day before, I'd actually sent out that buys were likely to come from this demand zone here, right? So I actually did mark up buys, but unfortunately I didn't get the tap in. I was looking for this demand. And then for some reason, my mind shifted towards the sells. Now, if we look at the higher time frame, you can see here that, okay, we've formed this at supply, then we've sold off and we've made a lower low. So this is kind of the mindset I got stuck into on Wednesday. The problem is, the day before, I'd realized that what the market was likely to do, considering this wasn't a full fill, as we previously spoken about, was to come into this liquidity area here, take out the equal lows, retest this demand zone here, which I think if we go to the 15 or 10 minute time frame, you'll see more clearly. And then after retesting this demand zone, I expected the market to push up towards this supply, right? So I totally forgot about all this, and I was kind of clouded on following the trend too closely, not considering that we still had to push up towards this point to test this supply, and ended up selling against the strength. So I should have followed the day before's idea to actually buy towards this supply, but unfortunately I got stuck kind of too close in this price action, sort of forgot that this wasn't a full zone retest, and ended up paying the price for that. So unfortunately as well, I didn't see the momentum approaching. I wasn't active on the charts at that time. If I had been, I could have avoided this loss as well because the momentum was too strong. But to be honest, the trade idea was flawed from the start. I was fighting against the larger picture, which is going to be obviously higher high in this leg up, then a pullback to take liquidity and retest demand, and then a new higher high. And I don't know why I ended up selling against that. So mistake number one and loss number one was a case of kind of not following on the larger picture. Rather than considering that this supply needed to be retested before any shorts could come in, I was too focused on this price action, disregarding this over to the left, and trying to follow this trend down, even though the day before I'd marked out that this was definitely going to be the wrong thing to do. So as you can see, mistakes will always happen every now and then. Even if you've reached a point of consistency in your trading, some of these mistakes will eat away at your profits when you do make them. Really, this was my fault. I didn't focus on the larger picture. I should have followed on the analysis from the previous day and gone with the buys and totally disregarded these shorts, which, looking back at it in hindsight, is clearly the right thing to do. Now, you might find it painful to hear that trade number 3 was a result of the exact same thing. I'd focused too closely on current price action instead of looking at the larger picture. What is more frustrating about Thursday's trade as well is that I actually missed a very profitable sell trade and went for a buy, which totally did me wrong. So this was my fault again. There was probably no reason really to be taking this trade. It started off nicely, it ran, but eventually it did drop down to hit stop loss, and I should have considered why that was going to happen. So after we made this higher high, we pulled back down, we traded into this demand zone here. The short I missed, by the way, was looking for a short confirmation here, which unfortunately my entry was a little bit too high for where price came into. And then the leading trade from that, the buy side trade, which went wrong, was a result of trying to buy from this demand zone. Now, if you remember what I just spoke about, the analysis I made on Tuesday was that we were probably going to push from this demand, trade into the supply, then sell off, right? So what I ended up doing was selling against this uptrend, and then when we'd actually started to form the selling moves, I brought into it. I made 2 of the same mistake in 2 days. I sold against the uptrend and then I brought against the downtrend. Very silly stuff to do. Now, in the moment, it can be easy to do this. You can get too focused in on the current price action. I was looking at some low time frame confirmations as well. After we hit demand here and broke structure, I thought, okay, maybe we can lead price up just towards this supply here or just towards the supply above that. But at the end of the day, I shouldn't have been buying anyway, even though we had this low time frame breaker structure and demand zone retest, because the larger picture suggested shorts. Rather than looking to do what I was trying to do, which was buy up and then sell down, I should have only been focusing on the sell side, and then I would have totally avoided taking this loss. Sure, I wouldn't have got this trade, but I wouldn't have taken the loss that I took here either. So to break down the trade idea, basically I had demand zone marked on here, which was the final inefficient demand zone in this trend. I had a buy move with the stop loss below the low, and I was looking to take price just towards here for around 4R. Now, if we look at how the trade played out, it tapped in very nicely, started moving around 1R, and then totally flipped on me with quite a lot of strength. Once again, in hindsight, it's very clear to see why. If we break this down, we can see, I was fighting against the uptrend here, and then this way, I should have only been selling. I knew that really in my mind, in the back of my head, but I still went for the trade. So these 2 trades, while they were heavily covered by the win, and they don't really matter in the long term, they are mistakes that could have been totally avoided. And I could have ended this week with a profitable sell down here, the profitable buy up here, and the initial profitable sell that I did take towards these equal lows. Instead of doing that, I ended up only getting the one profitable trade and then ended up battling both of these trends, whether it was up or down. I went the wrong way against it. So all in all, it hasn't really been a week of trading that I'm happy with, even though it was a profitable one. It's kind of too mistake heavy and definitely not a game, right? But this is why I'm making this video, and this is why I journal all of my positions. Now, I'm not going to hide mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. Most of the people that fire out these 50, 100 trades every single day never show any losses. It's all made up anyway. I know many traders that are in the game, and they will be the first to admit when they've made mistakes and taken bad trades. So I wanted to do that for this video to show you that when you make mistakes in your trading, it's not the end of the world, but it does need to be broken down, and you do need to learn from the mistakes that you make. Now, what have I learned from these setups? I've learned to always consider the larger picture, okay? This is something that's always been in my strategy anyway, but now next week, moving into the markets, I'm going to be more vigilant to make sure I'm trading with the direction of the market rather than fighting against it. I'm also going to make sure to refer back to my early week analysis more, because as I showed you, I knew what was going to happen on Monday. I knew we were going to get the sell down, I knew we were going to get a buy up, and then I knew we were going to get a sell from here. But in the end, that slipped out my mind. And yes, I got the sell down, but then I didn't take this move and I took a losing move instead. And I didn't take this move and I took another losing move. So definitely you are seeing the result of 2 mistakes in action. Now, the moral of the story for this video is essentially always remember your plan. Make sure that when you make mistakes and you take losses, you break them down. If I hadn't journaled these losses and looked into them, I could have just marked them down as standard system losses, and then they would just be another number on the sheet, right? But really, these were mistakes. They weren't standard system losses. They shouldn't have happened, and they wouldn't have happened if I hadn't intervened in the wrong way. So if you break that down and learn from them like I have, you now know this is in your mind fresh for next week. You can review on your notes here. You can make sure you don't do this next week and that you are actually trading with the overall direction that you planned in the first place. So remember, mistakes will always happen at some point or another, but when they do, you should learn from them every way you can. I hope this video has given you some value. If it has, please do drop a like and let me know in the comments what you think of the mistakes I made. How do you learn from your mistakes, and how often do you run into them? Has this video kind of opened your mind to the value of journaling and learning from your setups or not? If you want to get access to all of my trades and take profitable weeks like this one, even when the mistakes are in play, and considerably better results when I'm not making these mistakes, then head over to the link in the description. There is a summer sale right now. You can get access to my full trading academy, trade with me every day, join the active group chats with funded traders, and start your path to profitability. So thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.